Welcome to another random character generator. I am Greg Tito, and I'm joined by Brandy Camel. Hi, Brandy.
Hi, Greg.
Very excited to hang out with you today and randomize a character using D&D Beyond's amazing character builder. They've got this great tool which lets you just choose a random character from the algorithm, and what we'll do is look at what gets spit out and try to assign a background and a character story to these numbers and choices made here. They're not always optimal, and that's some of what makes this really fun, is to figure out why those things occur and hopefully end up with a fleshed out NPC or character that you can use in your game.
It's always a ton of fun to go through this mental exercise, both from the player perspective and as a GM. So.
Yeah, actually, you're right. This is like a little bit like a GM practice tool, just for warm up even. So here we've got Nesiasa.
Nesiasa.
A kobold sorcerer.
I love them already.
Exactly. Again, a low strength, high dexterity with a 16. And then middle of the road after that, 11, 11, 11 with con and wisdom, and a little bit of a higher charisma with a 14 and a +2 there. So this is a persuasive sorcerer, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, I mean, that charisma is key just as a sorcerer in general, but like having that high dex is really interesting. It's very common for a kobold. They tend to be very, very dexy, very finessey. So...
Yeah. And as far as skills go, trained in Arcana, Athletics, which is a strange choice for a kobold, as well as with the -1 modifier. Deception, which works out really well because of the higher charisma. And Religion.
Ooh, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, you don't usually have a sorcerer that's into the deities and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Here's some interesting thing as far as, this must come from a background. They have tools proficiency in water vehicles.
That is interesting. So this is a water-bound kobold.
Yeah, and their background is smuggler. Nesiasa is a smuggler.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That high deception is going to come into play, definitely, with that smuggling background.
Right. That means that you are acquainted with a whole bunch of smugglers, and you'll be able to help out and get a safe house if you're interested at most ports, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's super interesting.
Yeah. They are an Aberrant Mind sorceress. Sorcerer.
Okay.
So that is one of our newer ones, I believe.
Yeah, this is from Tasha's.
Right?
Yeah. This is from Tasha's. So this is the Aberrant Mind kind of gets you down the path of the strange beyond, the things beyond the stars. It also kind of just falls in line with other aberrations, things like illithids or aboliths or things of that nature. So
yeah, and it allows access to psionic spells.
Mm-hmm.
Which
those are always fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. And they also have the ability of telepathic speech.
Ooh, that's especially awesome.
Yeah. Gosh, how could a smuggler benefit from that? I mean, that's basically like these aren't the droids you're looking for type of thing going on there.
Definitely. Well, this is fantastic. I can speak to each other while the two of you are within a number of miles equal to your charisma modifier. That's incredible.
Wow. Right. And so the charisma modifier is 2. So 2 miles away, you can psionically speak using the feature from the Aberrant Mind sorcerer. Very, very interesting how that will manifest. We'll still figure it out, but man. And then the spells chosen, always important for a spellcaster like this.
Definitely.
Lots of cantrips, control flames, mage hand, mind sliver is the psionic at will, poison spray, thunderclap, and then arms of Hadar, dissonant whispers, some sleep, and Natasha's caustic brew.
Fantastic. We got some second level spells to look at too.
Yeah. calm emotions, crown of madness, detect thoughts, gust of wind. So I'm sensing a
Okay.
real connection with these kind of psionic mental powers with these spells, as well as some good utility ones like a gust of wind and mage hand.
Yeah, there's some really good battlefield control going on here, which is that's always handy to have in a party. It's also wonderful to throw at your players. So,
That is awesome.
oh man, what's really funny is that I actually think this character would fit right in to Baldur's Gate 3 because of that aberrant mind background. This could totally be a tadpole character.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even think about that, but that makes a lot of sense. They also have some meta magic abilities
yeah.
here with twinned spell and extended spell being able to be used, which is always great. And then all the traits they get from being a kobold
Yeah.
really does. Oh man, so being able to grovel and cower and beg, and the pack tactics, that's going to be really interesting. Since kobold's allies is just basically anybody in your party, so having an attack roll, having advantage on all attack rolls with pack tactics is huge, especially if some of the spells use attack rolls, which looks like most of them do here.
Yeah, I think most of the ones that we have here use attack rolls, yeah?
Actually, no, I guess maybe they don't.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah, a lot of them are
Oh, no, most of them are saves.
saves, so
Yeah, okay. So
Maybe that won't be as
maybe not
good.
getting as much use out of that, but
poison spray might be the only one, but is that? Nope, that's also a con
it's
saving
also
throw.
a save.
Yeah, all right, well, maybe they'll start learning some new spells where they can take advantage of that. So yeah, what are you thinking about for the kobold Nesiasa and how they developed the smuggler background? Yeah,
gosh,
is it
I'm
with a bunch
thinking-
of kobolds, or do you think it was kind of a group with a whole bunch of different humanoids?
I've got one of two that I've got in mind already for this. So you can either go the training in religion really stood out to me right away. So that makes me wonder: is this kobold a member of a cult? Were they recruited because of their aberrant mind, because of their wildly powerful magics that were springing up? Are they maybe a follower of Tiamat, or maybe someone who was a follower of Tiamat that they've got this aberrant influence now and maybe got kicked out of their cult as a result? Usually the aberrant mind of stuff tends to make you an outsider or an outcast. So that could be something that that might be a fun hook to play with.
Yeah, dragonkin, like kobolds, don't necessarily play well with mind flayers and aberrations like that. So perhaps I like that, them being outcast from their group at a young age, and then having to make ends meet in the world, force them to kind of become a smuggler and use their psionic abilities in a fight, but also just to make ends meet.
Yeah, definitely. And that high deception, they probably hide a lot of their abilities, to be honest, at least amongst people that maybe they don't trust at first, right?
Oh, that's a cool idea. So maybe they have all these abilities, but but Nesiasa keeps them secret,
Yeah,
even from fellow smugglers.
could totally. Maybe she's really. Are we going with she for this? character?
Nesiasa feels very feminine to me, but
It does.
what
It
do you
feels like a
think?
very feminine name to me. I think that's the direction to go. But
Yeah.
I think she maybe she's slowly working her way up through the smugglers and through some like subtle influences here and there.
Oh, I see. Right. So I think that's a great idea. So I love that idea that Nesiasa does not show her abilities amongst her fellow smugglers, and is slowly, quietly using them, almost like an Among Us player or something like that, to only use it when no one else can know what's happening. And so maybe there's been a few deaths of people in her smuggling crew that has done her wrong or had gotten in her way, and that's allowed her to gain more confidence from the leader.
I'm really cracking up at the Among Us reference because like the Aberrant Mind does tend to be that like tentacle monster inspired. So I'm just imagining some other smuggler coming down into the underground docks. There's just half a body laying there.
Yeah. Oh no, she vented. Nesiasa is sus.
Oh man.
Yeah, that totally works. Cool. So what do you think Nesiasa looks like? What is their appearance?
Oh, that's a great question. So I always like to think with kobolds, what is the dragonkin that they're most related to, right? And I'm going to go out on a stretch here just because there's, based on the spells that she's manifested as a sorcerer, there's a little bit of poison, there's a little bit of acid. Maybe we go with a green or black dragon heritage.
That makes sense. Yeah, especially with the waterways. I think a black dragon makes sense.
So maybe this is kind of a black scaled kobold.
Right. What type of adornments would you think she would have?
Oh man. Well, let's see. If you're a smuggler who's getting your way, is she the kind that would like adorn herself with like jewels or gold that she's lifted from places, or is she skimming off the top a little bit here or there?
Yeah. Yeah, or is she just wearing robes and, is it just function?
Yep.
What do you think?
Oh, let's see. Does she seem like a more functional person? Well, she does have that training athletics for what it's worth. So she might kind of dress a little bit more conservatively in that regard.
Right, like more like a Black Widow, right? Like having the ability to move and get into a fight quickly, right?
Yeah, someone who can at least keep their stuff close to their person. They're not going to worry about stuff getting snagged if they're on the run suddenly or anything of that nature. But I like to think she indulges a little bit. Like she's got like that one glorious piece she keeps on her. Like that's her prize.
Nice. What do you think? Is a nose ring? Is it a pendant or a
that could be
brooch?
cool. I like the idea of a super extravagant nose ring. That just tickles me for whatever reason.
Me too. Yeah. All right. So she is, wearing a lot of black clothes, maybe black leathers over her scales as much as possible. But the one gaudy thing is an ostentatious. Is it bejeweled? Is it gold? I think gold and black would look good.
Yeah,
good
gold
together.
and black stands out to me. Maybe like a dash, like there's a ruby inlay or something real fancy on it.
That's cool. I like that. All right, and then what does Nesiasa sound like? What is her voice? What would she do as far as trying to deceive folks?
Oh man, so we know that she's trying to be deceptive. She's not really trying to draw attention to herself. So maybe she's a little bit more soft spoken and you really want to believe her. She's somebody that I'm on the level with you. I'm somebody that you can trust. You can trust your goods with me. I'll get them to where they need to go.
I like that. Ooh, yeah. I immediately was transported to a dock where she was trying to convince me to go along with what her plan was. That's great. I like that a lot.
All right,
cool. So one question here. Did you think she controls or doesn't show her Aberrant Mind abilities, or does she hide all of her sorcerer spells and skills?
I think she hides her aberrant abilities because those are the ones that kind of freak people out. I think, magic's frequent enough that, all right, you're a sorcerer, you're somebody to be respected, you're a magic user. But the Aberrant Mind stuff is where it gets weird. That's the kind of stuff that you use for like intimidating people or really putting them in line when they cross your path.
That makes sense. Yeah, so she's okay with using, gust of winds and maybe even a dissonant whispers now and then, but she does not lean too really hard into the grossness of the arms of Hadar or some of the mind sliver stuff unless she knows that she can defeat this enemy in a way that won't be witnessed by other people.
Yeah, I think that suits her pretty well.
I like it. Okay. So Nesiasa is a kobold, black-scaled, who was in a enclave that devoted themselves to Tiamat and more typical dragon deities. But when she was born, she was somehow touched by an aberrant mind, and she began to exhibit things at a young age when she was hatched to her mates that were shunned, and she eventually was exposed and put out from her creche and had to make her way on her own. Luckily, she was pretty dexterous. She was able to convince people using her higher charisma that she had use. She also had a lot of abilities innately from being a sorcerer, and she learned quite early to hide some of the more disturbing tentacle alien-like exhibitions from her magic and deceive those around her to make her feel just like a normal run-of-the-mill kobold who fell in with a group of smugglers. So she definitely is outside of society. She, maybe works in Baldur's Gate and that area a lot, but is adept at piloting a watercraft in and out of the city with possible contraband of goods, and works with a group of smugglers to eke out an existence that way. She is always hiding her aberrant mind, manifesting in any way, but she doesn't hide necessarily herself that she is adept at magic, and anything that she earns through smuggling, she doesn't necessarily show off either, but she does have one nose ring, which is the ornament of choice for her. A big gold ring, maybe through the septum, that type of thing, with some ruby inlay, as Brandy was saying. And when she speaks in a very conciliatory tone and feels as if, you're making the best choice by going along with what her smugglers gang is proposing.
Absolutely. I think we've got a solid NPC, maybe even like minor villain at the beginning of an early campaign.
Yeah, but could perhaps be good in a fight and able to be recruited as well. Like, I feel like Nesiasa, out of many of the characters we come up with, random character generator, could have a redemption arc.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because she's a little bit on her own, right? She's making her own way, and maybe if someone's like, you don't have to hide your aberrant nature because I'm also a psionic creature. That could be really useful. And perhaps, using the ability to psionically communicate over miles, maybe she develops a bond with someone in your party.
She could be a really great informant, especially in a city-based campaign.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. That is great. And she's got a really cool voice that Brandy showed us.
I don't know if I could find it again on command. It always takes me like a second to get back into it.
That's how you know the really expert voice actors, where they're like, on the drop of a hat, they'll make something up and then they'll be able to go right back to it 10 minutes later.
Yeah. No, I'm amateurish at best, so.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But, hey, maybe we'll level up too.
Yeah, someday.
Thank you so much, Brandy, for coming on and creating Nesiasa. Always fun to do this fun improv exercise.
It is absolutely my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Greg.
Sweet. And we will put this in the show notes for this podcast episode, and hopefully you can use Nesiasa in your campaign. And if you do, we'd love to hear about it. So tag me. I'm at Greg Tito on Twitter and Greg_Tito on Instagram. And Brandy, how might they ask you to do another rendition of that voice so that they can use it in their campaign?
Well, the best place to find me is definitely on Twitter at DAYNTEE. That's at Dainty.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thanks. We'll be back with some more random character generators in future episodes.